Welcome to the India Fintech Diaries, the only podcast focused exclusively on the Indian fintech market. I'm Elroy.
And I'm Hemant. In each episode, we dive into the latest trends, ideas, innovations, business models, and personalities that are shaping India's fintech landscape.
We also invite amazing guests who are innovators and industry players that are driving the change that is helping make financial services more modern, innovative, and inclusive in India. Come join us as we explore the changing landscape of fintech in India. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to India Fintech Diaries. Now, when we talk about insurance, it's normally insurance for individuals. But for today's episode, we will focus on business liability insurance.
Absolutely, Elroy. Elroy, actually, I have spent a decent amount of time in insurance, but I have focused on life and health. So, this is a space that I'm really excited about learning today. And to talk about this very, very interesting space, we have Ravinder Kumar, founder and CEO of Vimvisure. Vimvisure, which has delivered multiple AI based insurance solutions for the general insurance market, has recently launched Justt.in, India's first business liability insurance platform focused on startups and new age companies. Welcome to the show, Ravinder.
Hi, Hemant and Elroy. Thank you for bringing me here. I think we have been delaying this for quite a long time, but glad that finally we are doing it.
Absolutely.
We are very happy to have you here, Ravinder. Now, Ravinder, before we jump into this very, very interesting topic of business liability insurance, the segment and your offerings for it, tell us a bit about your journey from IIM Ahmedabad campus to running a InsurTech firm and with two InsurTech products in the market.
I would like to phrase it better as my startup journey, right? Because before going to IMA,
True.
also I was like mostly mad about the startups. So if we say Vimvisure was a third startup, and I was glad I can be very specific to say that at each startup we reached a particular stage. Like first startup we just made a product and it never went live. Second startup we made a product and it went live and then we closed it. And Vimvisure is like something we operated operationally for almost 4.5 years now, seen operational profits, decent revenues, launched multiple products for the company. So that's more of a startup journey for me, that for every step for last almost 10 years now, we have seen how this entire entrepreneurial thing has grown from just an idea to a full-fledged business. Regarding IMA, again, as I told, like the major intention before going to IMA was also again how to build on a startup journey and how to see how can the management education can help you to build a company. Right, I was never interested in those jobs
Got it.
kind of thing. So just after, like when I was in IMA, also the second startup we worked upon, we built a product, we found a customer at that point of time. We gave the product to them, but again, at the end of the day, somewhere we did not get the product market fit, and then I choose to work in a startup again. So my first job after IMA was Ola. So there I worked in the initial team
Mhm.
for launching a couple of categories. After that was the step where I entered into the insurance market. Right. So I worked with a US based company, and they acquired an Indian company, and they asked me to kind of come and contribute to that company. That's where I got first introduced to the entire insurance market. Like unfortunately or fortunately, till today I don't own a motor insurance, but we can say that we have insured almost or helped our partners to insure over more than 5 lakh vehicles till now, right? So that's something became exciting for me, that what exactly is happening in the insurance. And as you have mentioned in your previous podcast also, insurance is somewhere the last segment which is coming, which is getting digitized, right? We have seen banks which were like
Right.
little active. In the last 10 years we have seen a lot of fintech also, a lot of new models coming in, a lot of new players who have contributed to the growth journey of the sector. Insurance is still on the legacy side, I would say. Yes, definitely Echo and these Go digits definitely are there, right? But still, if you look at the larger side of the insurance industry, is still on the legacy systems, and we are expecting that now almost for the next 10 years we will see a major growth, right? So that's where I think the entire idea of working for the insurance industry started and motivated me to work in this industry, because the problems were pretty huge, right? Be it underwriting, be it distribution, be it claims, right? We have seen a lot of claims model which have
Right.
come up. So everything was somewhere broken, right? You can see it very clearly, right? This is not right. This is not right. Why is this not right? So those were the questions which started bogging me down. Ki, why is this happening? Like, why can't someone just change this? And that's where we chose that model also. Like, if you know that from the beginning, we have been a tech player for the insurance companies. We never wanted to go and just say
Correct.
that buy insurance. We were like, how can we make the journey of a customer better when he is buying insurance, right? Because you're already selling insurance. So if we don't bother about the entire overall penetration, there is almost a $26 billion worth of market for general insurance, right? The problems were pretty evident there, that why are people not happy buying that insurance, right? Why are they not getting a better service for the policies they are buying? I think that triggered my mind, and that's was something the origination ground for the entire idea of coming from an entire management background to coming to this insurance industry and working there for last 5 years.
Ravinder, I'm curious, what was your first startup that you set up?
So first startup was I think it was just a website making company. I think when you are in college, the first somewhere
Okay.
in 2012, it was like we'll make websites for
Yeah,
people.
I think even I did that at one point.
Right. So that was something we started. We had 4 or 5 clients,
Yeah.
and that was an interesting thing which we did. Like I think it was more of a pocket money thing. We did not call it startup at that point of time, but yeah, later on we realized that yes, it was
Yeah.
my first exposure to the entrepreneurial journey.
Very interesting, Ravinder. Ravinder, then just shifting focus to the segment, right? So, business liability insurance is not a very well understood segment by most people. So, help us understand a little more about the segment and its contours in India.
Definitely. As Hemant also told that still people are aware about mostly on the health and life side, because that's something which comes more on the retail side, right? But when we look at the business side,
Right.
the business environment in India, right, or even if we say the age of startups in India is not that far. Like if we use the term startup somewhere just 10 years back, somewhere in 2012, not many people could have related with it, right? Even startups was not a
Yeah.
word which people understood that what, how exactly, as I told myself, right? We built a company in website making, but we never called it as a startup. It was just like, okay, let's do something that way. So that way, business insurance has been always on the backside of things for insurance companies or the entire market. And ideally, I would say till
Yeah.
now also, not much efforts have been given or driven by the industry to make people understand this form of insurance, right? This is despite the fact that almost 30-40% of the revenues of some companies, like almost 60, I think, if I'm correct, almost 10 billion worth of commercial lines of products are underwritten in India right now. Still, people don't understand how exactly that market operates, right? It's mainly the bigger companies who do it either when they have a contractual obligation, right, or if they have a requirement from the client, then only they are trying to do this. Otherwise, if we really ask them or ask anyone as a business owner in this country, that do you really know about insurance which can safeguard your interest? So people are literally blank on that. And especially when we call startups, like people don't understand that when we start a startup, we are not an individual, right? When we start a startup, I am just a founder. But the moment I create a
Correct.
company, I become an organization. And that transition from an individual to
Right.
an organization brings a lot of liabilities on your part, right? Definitely the responsibilities of a founder is there, the power of a founder is there, or the glam, or like maybe everything how the market perceive is there. But from transitioning from an individual to an organization brings a lot of liabilities which you get exposed to. You have employees, you have customers, you have market, you have investors whom you are answerable to, right? If we just plain like break it down into a few words, that you are answerable to them, right? And it brings a liability on you that if now you do something which might be on the right side or the left side, like wrong side, right? You might have to give an answer, or
Yeah.
someone can come and claim something from you. So that thing people are not aware about currently in this market. So that's where this the entire liability piece of insurance works currently.
Understood. And Ravinder, what's a typical customer profile of business liability insurance customers that you've seen?
See, currently, that's what I'm saying. Till now, this was even if we see on the perspective of insurance companies, the companies were always after
Right.
bigger clients, which were giving them large premiums. Why we choose this
Okay.
startup segment is a very particular problem. because it happened with us only, right? So even if we now go to insurance companies and tell them that, see, we are trying to cater to this type of market, right? Still some of them are
Yeah.
reluctant, right? And they're right in doing that because they say that the amount of premium from these people is pretty less. They are used to millions and six figure kind
Right.
of premiums from the clients, right? And that's where they justify their efforts. So they say that if I put a salesperson, even if he does not get me a $1 million client kind of thing, or at least a six figure kind of premium, it does not matter to me if I spend efforts into that segment. And that's where the entire business insurance, I think I was listening to earlier podcast also, there we said that the employee health insurance, right? So if you look at the entire market of employee health
Yeah.
insurance, which is also a corporate insurance, right? It's not a liability product, but it's a business form of business insurance only. The employee health insurance was always there. It's not that it's something new which has come in the market. But the way insurance companies were distributing these products was little different, right? When a startup came and said that even if you have two employees, you can cover them. Insurance company never catered to these kind of clients, and this is a similar behavior we see in
Hmm.
business liability also. They say that if I don't get a particular kind of premium, it's not justifiable for me, right? They are still after those bigger clients, right?
Right.
But if we look at how the startup ecosystem or if the new SME ecosystem has come up in last 3 4 years, right? I quote this number everywhere, and like it gives a very positive scenario that almost 700 startups were registered on DIPP website in 2017. Last year, that number was
Yep.
11,800. In just
Wow.
4 years, the
Wow.
number of startups registered on a platform has increased almost 10 times, right? More than 10 to 15 times. And with all this Shark Tanks and the way the entire investment scenario has changed in last year, I'm like very positive that maybe next 2 3 years we'll have 20 to 30,000 new startups coming each and every year, and these will be the businesses which will really change the entire landscape. And that's where we feel that they will definitely need kind of products of insurance, and they need a market, right? So someone need to cater to them, and that's
Yeah.
what we are trying to do. That if an insurance company on a larger scale is not able to do it, let us be the front face and reach out to this market, help the founders. And it's not just about selling the game, right? I was at the fintech launch of the fintech meetup last week in Chennai. There were almost 75 founders who were there in that room, right? I asked them a question that, is there anyone who knows about business insurance first, liability insurance? There was not a single show of
Hmm.
hands. Is there anyone who has taken such kind of insurance? Again, there was not a single show of hands. And this was the one of the biggest events which are happening and being attended by pretty big. So this is the problem statement we are trying to solve. That it's not just about selling to these people; it's about making them aware that some wrong things can happen. And we know, like I have seen my journey of last 5 years of an entrepreneur, like purely entrepreneur. There are issues. There are situations where you can be in problem, and there are situations where it's not that you deliberately make a mistake or you deliberately take that step, but the repercussion of those steps can be very serious while building an organization. So people are not aware
Right.
about these kind of risks, and they need to be first made aware that, see, this is a problem, this can happen to you. Buying an insurance or not buying an insurance is something, maybe I say it's a later stage, right? Matlab, in India, as we see, like no one wakes up in the morning and said I have to buy insurance. You have to make him understand the need. So that is our first agenda right now, that
Correct.
we want to make the founder, each and every founder in this country, make them aware that these are the kind of possibilities you can have in this journey. So everyone tells you about investors, everyone tell you how to approach an investor, tell you how to get a product market fit, but no one tells you that if in this journey something wrong happens, then how will you be safeguarded, right? And it can happen to anyone. We have
Right.
seen some big names coming up in last 2 months. Somewhere, if possibly they would have taken right kind of insurances, both on the organization side and both or even on the individual sides, they're definitely safeguarded, right? And it can happen to any founder in this industry, right?
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. Actually, Ravinder, I find it really ironic that the room that you mentioned about, these were fintech founders. That means they were one of the most financially savvy sort of people who are there in India, and even they are not aware of this product. And that clearly shows the amount of work required, especially on the awareness side. As you rightly said, the step one would be really to make people aware. So that one problem is very clear. And the second problem you actually spoke about is the commercial viability of the product in the mind of incumbent providers, right? They're not very sure it will be profitable or not.
Definitely, profitability is not an issue for them. For them, definitely the
Hmm.
distribution piece play comes into picture. Like if we have to
Ah, got it.
right, they
Yeah,
don't
it's
feel like ki,
Hmm.
this segment will give me so much returns. Still, like
Correct.
if we explain them a scenario, right? There is a scenario that when you are when an insurer is writing a premium of maybe six figures, right, and he is insuring a risk of
Hmm.
around 100 cr for a big company, 90% of this revenue
yeah.
goes back to the reinsurer, because 90% of the
Hmm.
companies are not able to put that, they're not able to take that risk on themselves, right? So they will pass on the entire
Got it.
premium to the reinsurer. So somewhere it's just a number game. They get a GWP kind of
Hmm.
thing, but still on their books it looks as a very small number. And that's what something we are trying to tell the insurers
Correct.
also, that if you, fine, I
Hmm.
understand this is a smaller risk, but you can take the entire risk on your books, right? That way it will help you to create more premiums. Like if I say a six figure 100 crore kind of risk and a 5 crore kind of risk, 5 crore kind of risk will have more number, like it will add more to your revenue on the paper, at least, instead of a 100 crore risk. So these things, people, at least some insurers are coming positive. Not every, I would not say that everyone is trying to like they're still comfortable. Like, yeah, well, there was this insurer, I cannot name them, but they're like, we did on April 1st, we did almost 700 crores kind of revenue from our clients. If you look at the kind of profiles for these clients, that 700 is like 5 CR, 10 CR, like, big clients, right? Well, like, it does not matter. They will buy it from
Yeah.
somewhere. But there are almost 38,000 active startups in this country. Even if 5,000
Hmm.
buys a liability insurance product, it's like a huge book for any of these incumbent players. Like they can really build a business out of this. But again, the problem is they don't know
Got
how
it.
to approach it, how to distribute these kind of products on a smaller.
Got it. Got it. So, Ravinder, based on what you just explained, now we've got a fair understanding of the massive opportunity it is and the problems which are there because of which this is not growing, or the target is out there. Now, help us understand how Just.in is solving these problems and what are the different offerings under the head.
Definitely. So as I told, right, the information is our first target, right? That how can we
Mhm.
first make this information available to the masses? And masses, I would say, the small founders or the new founders, first time founders, or even if it's a small businesses, right? That what is the
Got it.
importance of a liability product? And then second, what we do is that how do we simplify this journey? I'll tell you, I bought a liability cover last year, right? When we got funded. Before that, I was also not
Mhm.
aware. Like
Yeah.
despite being in the insurance industry for 4 years, I was also not aware about these kind of products. I had some of the best contacts in the industry. I asked them, "Sir, ye quote, we want a quote around this." They were like, "Oh, is there any this kind of product also? Let me talk to someone. They will help you." We had to talk to almost three different brokers, I think, and we did not get a positive response from anyone. Then finally, there was someone, and
Hmm.
he referred us to one of the brokers. He helped us, like he was majorly on the corporate insurance side. He then confirmed that yes, yes, you can have the quotes. Then the discussion started, and it took us almost 7 days to just get some quotes from these companies. After that, also, I was like, did
Hmm.
we get the code? Did we not get the code? This guy was like, somewhere, well, I'm not complaining about anyone. But again, the reluctance, when if it is a 10 CR client, you call him 5 times in a day. But if I'm a 50,000 rupees client,
Hmm.
you don't call me even once, and I have to call you after 5 days, sir. Is there any reply from the
Yeah.
insurer? Right? So that kind of treatment was there.
Hmm.
After that, he got me the quotes. I made the payment. After payment, also, it took 5 days to get the policy. So the entire sales cycle over here was at least 15 to 17 days. So our first target segment
Hmm.
in Just is that we are not saying that we are offering you something very new right now. We are first putting that information in mind.
Hmm.
And if we are ready to buy these kind of covers, we will get these covers in shortest possible time. Right? If we look at, like, we started selling last, I think 6 to 7 days is the
Hmm.
average kind of time we are getting right now, where we are still working on a manual mode with insurers, right? So that relationship is still being built, right? We are telling them, give us some state through products, or give us some underwriting rules which will help us to quote faster to the customer. So these things are happening gradually.
Hmm.
But somewhere the first step which we are taking is that how can we simplify the journey of a founder? Because as a founder, if I have to follow back 4 or 5 times to get the policy, then I would like lost somewhere, right? So that the ease of getting the policy is our
Correct.
first target. That let's just first simplify this process of getting the policy. How will the policy solve it, or how can we club the policies together to meet the specific requirement of a startup? Those are our next steps. Like if we talk about later on, like what next are we trying to plan? So that's where it will come, that how we are trying to customize these products as per startup, because it's not just that the availability of product, but the existing products don't cater to the needs of startups, right? Because a startup is new. They have I'll just give you a very brief example. You said that those
Mhm.
75 founders were there in that room, and all of them are fintech founders. In India right
Right.
now, insurers are afraid to underwrite a fintech founder. We sent out quotes. We I think last month we got 3 quotes. We sent out 3 quotes for fintech companies, and 99% of the time they said no, we will not underwrite them. But if you look at the face of it, insurers are not able to digest what is happening in the fintech industry, so they're not even quoting at all. So these are the kind of problems we
Hmm.
are trying to solve here, that there's a big mismatch
Understood.
from the expectation of the insurers, what a startup needs, and how this entire flow is happening, right?
Got it. Got it. So, Ravinder, we have spoken at length about the different risks on the startup side which need cover. So, if you could help me illustrate, imagine that if I am the startup founder and we are meeting, what are the different risks that I could get cover for? Say, if I visit just.in.
See, let me just, instead of going for Justt.in, let me try to simplify the covers for you, right? Matlab,
Hmm.
as if as a founder, if you have to explain
Okay,
in a, yeah,
that would help.
because if I
Yeah,
say in a technical way that you need a errors and omissions cover, you'll be like, again, you're talking about insurance.
will not
Yeah,
understand.
no one will
Will not
understand,
understand,
right?
Yeah.
Ravinder.
Matlab,
So, makes
even I
sense.
did not understand what is this errors
Correct.
and omissions. So, matlab, that way. Let's just say that
Correct.
you as a founder, as I told,
Hmm.
that as an individual, you turn up into an organization the moment you institute a company and start working with your customers and clients, right? So the first
Got it.
liability
Yep.
which comes on you is as the founder of the company or as the key employee of the company. So we just don't say just the founders, because beyond founders also there's a founding team. There are vice presidents, there are executive vice presidents, there are heads, category managers. So these are the key people we say, right? Usually the policies are named as directors and officers. So there are no officers in the company. It is like a very old concept in like public sector companies where they were like officers and those kind of people. So the insurance still is being called as directors and officers, but we can say founders and key people around the founders, like they can be founding partners or the category managers. So all these people are representing the organization
Right.
during the process of delivering their duties, and like, or doing their job. There can be situations where they do something which might be causing some kind of problems for the organization, or it can cause some problem to other person, or someone, or you took an action which can be problematic to someone, or someone wants got hampered by that step, right? And there's a very good example I give to founders, that right now if someone wants to stop your growth, right? If there are two similar competing companies, they're in the similar sector, and then someone wants to stall your growth, right? You hire a person from the other organization. The other
Hmm.
organization can sue you for intellectual property theft, unfair competition, that you took my employee when he was here, he took this intellectual data and all this thing. And it's very simple for the other company to put you in a soup. And we have seen a lot of cases right now, we can't take the names, where companies have done this. And if this kind of thing happens, right, and you hired someone on a very good faith, everything was good. Like, I'm not saying whether that employee came with some kind of data or he really did steal something. Even in the best thing, that he did not bring anything and he was a very good guy, still the competitor can make it a situation and put you in a soup in front of the competition or in front of courts, saying that this person has taken my data, going for the merits of the case, that it can be decided true, or wrong, that comes after once the due process of law is followed. But during this process, you will have to face a lot of hurdles. It can happen that there's a lot of defense cost. I personally have seen founders where they are reluctant, despite being right, they're reluctant to go to the court because the defense cost is
Right.
too high right now. Getting an average lawyer, right, even if you are right, even if you are true, like everything best, it takes at least 20 to 30 lakhs in India right now to fight a case, if it is a high court case kind of thing,
Wow.
right? A senior lawyers charge you 2 to 3 lakh
Hmm.
rupees, right? And you cannot take the risk of not taking a senior lawyer, right? The situation is like that. You cannot send a mediocre lawyer and say that he will represent me, because the interest of your entire company is dependent on that. So somewhere you will have to spend, for a very meager case or a very accusation kind of suit or anything, you will have to spend at least 20 to 30 lakh rupees as the defense cost. So this is something where a policy like directors and officers cover you, that if as an employee of the company you did something, and because of which there is some harm, possible harm or not possible harm, and you are having some kind of legal liability here, right? So the insurer will protect you here. You don't have to pay from your pocket. You will get defense costs from the insurers. You, even if the court says that yes, there was some kind of fault and this is the kind of compensation you have to pay to the other company, that also can be managed from the insurer money, right? Definitely there are different forms, when, where, how much, definitely, right? But I'm just giving an example that how can our insurance protect you in such a situation. So this is a very basic DNO kind of cover. If we go
Understood.
beyond this, there is something called as public liability and personal liabilities, right? As I told, as a founder, when you become an organization, there are kind of some liabilities covered. Then there is public liabilities, right? Let's just take an example of a D2C company, that you are making a shampoo, right? Or you made a food grade product. Someone had that product
Right.
and he had some kind of health issue, right? He can sue you in court. So those kind of things are
Right.
covered through liability product. That I have a product liability or I have personal liability against things. Right? That I made a product and it hampered some, like we have this EV thing going on right now in India, right? We have seen live cases where, yeah, batteries,
Correct, with the
right? The
batteries.
reason can be anything. But due to your product, a customer was hampered, right? Or some people lost their lives also. So definitely the other party can
Right.
come and sue you for a huge amount. So what you can do is you can get yourself covered against such liabilities. Then we go step by step. There are a lot of other things depending on your business, what kind of business you are in, whether you are D2C client, whether you're fintech people, or whether you're into manufacturing, whether you're into contract obligations or a software services. So there are different products which helps you safeguard your interest in any case of liabilities, right? That during this entire operation, if anything went wrong or any kind of liability comes on you, these insurance products will safeguard your interest or the organization interest by getting these insurance. This is entirely the crux, or if I have to explain it in a very layman kind of language.
Interesting, Ravinder. Ravinder, I'm also curious about what's a typical revenue model for offerings like this, and are there any regulatory licenses involved as well?
See, definitely for the selling part, broking license or distribution license is that which is being handled at our end. And if we say
Yeah.
a typical revenue sales for insurance is your commission, definitely. As
Right.
a intermediary, you sell something and you get your commission. It's a very simple model. There is nothing
Right.
minus in.
Interesting. And Ravinder, what's been the traction so far that you've seen, and some initial customer feedback that you've got? Maybe give us some insights on that as well.
So I would refrain from taking any numbers because we started like launched the website on first only, but we have
That's fine.
successfully reached to a six-figure kind of premiums right over here. Definitely, we have
Okay.
given few policies both on liability sides and cyber side, and the premium is pretty good, right? That's the most important thing, is that the kind of premium which we are getting is something. If we go for a similar party in a retail segment, premiums are pretty high. So that way, there's a
Yeah.
good cost margin, or if you say that there is a good margin which you can preserve at a scale. Right? It's not something where you have to just play on some 10, 20 kind of rupees. It's in thousands. So it's a good model on that.
Yeah.
Understood. Understood. And Ravinder, as you're building a product for a segment which is not well understood, the processes are broken at multiple steps. I'm very sure that it must be technologically really challenging to build for that particular segment. So, what are the different challenges that you're facing or have faced, and how are you solving that?
See, again, as I put this into a perspective, that startups are very easy, I would say, right? A big construction company giving a cover to a big construction company is more complex than giving it to two founders who are just trying to make a product, right? So, and this is the thing which we
Right.
are trying to explain to the insurers. And I'll again go back to
Mhm.
the same thing, that currently the biggest problem which we have is the ease of buying this process. So currently,
Correct.
Yeah.
whatever inputs or whatever efforts we are putting on the technology side is that how to shorten this journey, how to make this journey in a purely seamless digital way, that the founder does not have to waste his too much time on this, right? Gradually what we are doing next, trying to get next over here, is that how the policies can also be changed. Right now it's something like,
Hmm.
as I tell, right, something which was constituted 20 years back or 30 years back. Even if from the names you can see directors and officers, like looks like a very heavy name, that officers are, because normally public sector companies have these officers,
Right.
divisional
Correct.
officers, right? So it's still working on that. So that's why we are trying to talk to our insurers and say that, see, a startup cannot take five liability insurances, right? Currently, there are almost 7, 8 policies which are available for an organization. What we are trying
Yeah.
to do over here is next, like in coming days, is that how can we combine the entire liability or a corporate insurance product into one payment or a one product, single short kind of thing, right? So instead of making 10
Yeah.
different payments, handling 10 different policies or 10 different conversations, how can we say that to a startup that you give me X rupees and these are the different covers, I'll protect you for the entire year, right? The covers can be different. Somewhere I'll protect you up to X, somewhere maybe 2X, maybe 3X, right? But you don't need to bother about handling these 10 different policies. You just make a single payment or a single kind of policy or single cover,
Yeah.
umbrella cover kind of thing, and we cover you against all these 7, 8 risks which can come in your way, right? So that's something I think which will be a future pipeline, that's gradually we will work on. But again, it's more of a product shaping requirement. The product need to be developed. We are talking to the insurers, they'll need reinsurance support. So it's not an easy thing, definitely. But yeah, that's something which we aim for. That the way you buy health, the way you buy life right now, you should be able to cover your entire organization in future.
Ravinder, that's actually some pretty exciting items that you have on your roadmap for Justt. I would also want to check with you what's your view on how the entire segment of business liability itself will kind of shape up in the near future? So, do you see some large trends that you see changing this entire segment as far as India is concerned?
See, gradually, I would say the entire game lies on distribution.
Okay.
Currently, what is happening is it's all, since the ticket size is less, these people are not getting the real attention, right? Because beyond
Hmm.
liability, also, if we leave the startups, right? Let me just put you an example of something new we were discussing with our team. Is there's a new market of content creators, right? No one is
Correct.
targeting them,
Correct.
right? Last year, almost 1.2 billion worth of I would say revenue or the contribution was done to the GDP just by YouTube content creators, right? And we have seen
Yeah.
situations where these people make some kind of content, right? And they land up into a legal trouble, right? Someone sues you,
Correct.
or either they say something which is construed and there is a FIR against them, right? So these kind of people are also there. They also need insurances, right? You can sell liability insurance to them also. The same way we are trying to target or to identify different segments in this market, because just concentrating on particular business will not be the right thing, right? Because there are a lot of
Yeah.
new avenues also which are being created. Currently, it's just if you are a company, big company, we will give you these 4 covers and you will pay us the premium. We found startups right now. We are trying to create, see how can content creators or gig economy can get this. Beyond this, lawyers,
Right.
individual professionals, doctors, right? They are huge. Almost there are almost 10 lakh doctors in this country which are mandated to get a professional indemnity cover against their practice. And you wouldn't believe, in last 5 years, Gurgaon has registered the maximum cases, police cases, criminal cases of medical negligence. There is so much opportunity out there, right? Where because the moment you call it a business insurance and corporate insurance, right? We start relating it to some kind of organizations only. But beyond
Right.
organizations, Like there are OPC, single person company. There are individual professionals who are practicing. Right? There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are content creators. There is huge gig economy who will need these kind of covers in the future. Right? So that's something we are trying to target. That this market is definitely going to, like, if we just leave the startups aside, right? As I told that
Hmm.
definitely there'll be 20-30,000 startups getting registered in this country in next 2-3 years. We will march towards the 5 trillion kind of economy. But beyond particular organizations also, there is huge opportunity on the individual basis also for these kind of.
Amazing. Ravinder, this has been a very, very fascinating discussion. In fact, I've got educated on a segment that I was not aware of. And it's really amazing that there's this segment which has such a low penetration in the country and there's so much to be done. Now, Ravinder, if someone like me gets more excited about this and wants to get in touch with you, either for Wimbishore or for Just.in, what's the best way they can do that?
I think if you want to buy a product or if you know about the policies, I think just.in website puts into a very easy perspective. You can go there, just click on buy now or talk to our expert. So there also we are not selling you something, right? The entire
Mhm.
objective or the entire thesis vision which we have put is we are here to help you out, right? And that's where we are telling the investors also, we are the way we are reaching to the market, that we are not here to sell you the policies in first place. Talk to us, we will help understand your business first, and then we will tell you what kind of risks are there in your business, right? Because it's not just plain vanilla thing ki ye le liya wo le liya usne
Correct.
bol diya. So that's our approach, first level approach. Come talk to us. We have people with over 100 plus years of experience right now who are sitting here. Schedule half an hour calls with them. Like I'm sending out, I think this week, from this week or next week, we will have everyday sessions, right? We are putting out a open hour kind of thing where the founders can come talk to us every day. They can book a slot and talk to us about their business. Then we will be able to help them see what kind of policies you need, or do you need a policy or not. Like there was a startup which approached me. They're like, we are trying to do this kind of business. Should I take this policy? Like, no, you are not required to take this kind of policy. Your payment aggregator or your
Hmm.
fintech player is already taking these kind of policies, right? So we are not here to just sell, right? We are here to help you understand the entire risk, or how can you safeguard. Like, because as a startup I also feel the pain. I've been this doing this for almost 5 years now. I also want to see my fellow founders to reach that level and not waste their time on something which might stop them, or waste their 2-3 months or 6 months or some kind of money on that, right? So get a cover, move ahead, concentrate on what really matters, right? Instead of some small things which can stop you during your journey. So yeah, as I was saying, so on the website side, definitely you can reach out to us. Beyond, if you have to personally reach out to me, I think the mail ID is ravinder@just.in. You can always drop me a mail if you want to talk. How can insurance help you? If you want some kind of advice, how can insurance be built into your products or these things? Right? We'll be happy to answer.
Excellent, excellent. For people who listening to this are now trying to find the website, just.in is JUSTT.in. We will also include all these details in our show notes. It was amazing speaking with you, Ravinder, and all the best to you and your team for this journey.
Thank you, boss. Thank you for taking out this time. I hope we are able to make a change.
Absolutely. That's it from India FinTech Diaries for this week. Do log on to our website, indiafintechdiaries.com, for exclusive content. Until next time, mask on, stay safe. Thank you.